Alphabet investors, or the market, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't seem to care about this yet. Do you think they will regret that?
I think they will regret that. We've been saying for 2 years now that big tech are not taking regulation seriously. We think over the next 12 months, the regulation hype is going to get much bigger. Of course, in Europe, Europe has, over the last 10 years, regulated big tech. Their enforcement has been much stronger than the U.S. But I think the U.S. now, is forced to act. And the key here is, antitrust investigations, when they focus on a product, a physical product, it's relatively easy. You can go to a factory, you can monitor that product. But here the issue is data, control of data, as your reporter just said. And when you're monitoring control of data behind, on the internet, in digital, in servers, it's very easy, it's very difficult to track what that data is doing. Therefore, it's very difficult to track whether big tech is actually breaking some of the laws that already exist.
If you had to lay odds, betting odds, Cyrus, on the chance that Google, Alphabet, is broken up by either federal or state regulators, what would those odds be?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some Democratic candidates for the president have talked about breaking up big tech. I think the issue really is not breaking them up. The real remedy to this is sorting out the problem of data privacy, of preventing consumer harm by allowing consumers to take back control of their data. I'll give you one example. So a typical antitrust lawyer will say that when we look at an antitrust case, we look at 3 things that might cause consumer harm: price, quality, and innovation. If you just take one of them, say price, right now we use Google and Facebook for free as a consumer, but that price could be wrong, because Facebook and Google are making super normal profits, which means what they're doing with their data, that data is probably not priced right. Consumers should be asking more for that data. But they don't know how much to ask, because when you typically sell something, you know what you're selling. In this case, when you sell data, you don't know what you're selling because you don't know what Google and Facebook are doing with that. And antitrust regulators should find out what they're doing. That should be the crux of the investigation.
And there has been some people I know, because I've heard people talking about this, either off camera or even on camera, Cyrus, which is that maybe at some point the solution would be charging some kind of a fee. It's like, okay, you can have an advertisement-free, no data collection version of Facebook or even Google if you pay X dollars per year, but nobody yet has offered that, because apparently the numbers would have to be so large for these companies that they don't think any consumer would pay it. Maybe, $300 or $400 a year to have a, pure privacy version of some of these products. Is there any on a separate issue, is there any value to this idea that maybe Google actually would have more value for investors if it was broken up?
It depends how it would be broken up. I mean, would it be broken up from, Google Cloud, Google YouTube, Google Search? It really depends. The power of Google is that it uses data from all of these sources and then sells advertising revenue. And from the U.S.'s perspective, the U.S. is engaged in a geopolitical trade war with China. It needs U.S. big tech to remain big, because otherwise it's going to fail in next generation technologies like artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, and so on. So it doesn't really. The U.S. government doesn't, in my view, doesn't really want to break up big tech, but the EU may.